Okay, so today's lesson is going to be on absolute value. Everybody say that. Absolute value. Very good. All right, so absolute value is the number's distance from 0 on the number line. This is very, very important. So important that if you only remember that absolute value is a distance, those are your key words. When you hear the word absolute value, your brain should automatically see the word distance, because that is what absolute value is. It doesn't care the direction on where you're going. Up, down, left, right. I'm gonna get this. Isn't there a song like up, down, left, right? I'm gonna get this. No, I know that there's a song. I'm gonna find it because it's on my phone. All right, so absolute value is the distance. If I drive from school to my house, it's the same distance as if I was going from my house to school, right? Same distance. Doesn't matter which direction I'm going. Am I going home or am I coming to school? It's still the same distance, correct? So because of that, absolute value will always, I'm going to jump down here, the absolute value will always be a positive number. Because when we talk about distance, there is no negative distance. It doesn't matter whether you're running forward or you're running backwards. If the coach tells you to go out there and run a mile around the track and you decide to run it backwards, you're still running a mile, correct? If you run it forward, you're still running a mile, yes? So it doesn't matter. Distance is always, always, always positive. So remind me again, absolute value is what? Distance from 0. Remember we talked about on Friday, whenever we were just talking about integers in general, we always compared it to 0. Was it on the right? Was it on the left of 0? Now we're talking about the distance from 0. So do y'all see how important 0 on the number line is? Yes. All right. So absolute value is written, so we always have symbols. Yesterday we talked about inequalities, correct? And those were the greater than and the less than symbols. We also have symbols for adding, subtracting, multiplying, dividing, equals, positives, negatives, all that fun stuff. Well, we also have a symbol for absolute value. Okay, remember we talked about it being the universal language? So absolute value is written with 2 lines on each side of the number. So it would look like this. I have a straight line and another straight line. That would mean absolute value. And then inside there, I have whatever my number is. So those 2 goalposts, I guess you could call them if you wanted to think that way. The 2 parallel lines that are up and down, vertical, right? Because Miss Armstrong is vertically challenged. The up and down, that means that it is absolute value. That symbol means absolute value. So when I read it, like we were reading the inequalities, when we read it, we say the absolute value of whatever the number is. The absolute value of 5. The absolute value of -5, and so forth. Okay, so let's look at some examples. I want to go in here and I want you to put that symbol down here because we're going to talk about that. That's going to be my challenge question for you. But I want you to put it on there so that when we talk about it. Okay, so this says the absolute value of -39. So I have to think to myself, it's the distance from 0. How many steps, if I was at 0, how many steps would I need to make to get to -39 on the number line? Yes, ma'am. 39, correct? Remember, we don't care whether it was me going backwards or going right or going left or going forward or going up or going down. It's just the number of steps that I took. So I would take 39 steps to get to negative 39. That is my absolute value. Again, back here, I'm going to star this again. Absolute value is always, 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 always positive. All right. What about the absolute value of 87? Yes, sir. 87. Very good. How many steps did I take from 0 to get to 87? I took 87 steps, right? I need those steps on my Fitbit here. All right. What about the absolute value of negative 1? What is the absolute value of negative 1? Yes, sir. 1. How many steps did I take from 0 to get to negative 1 on the number line? All right, so now we're going to fly through these next ones now that we're in the habit of it. What's the absolute value of 61, everybody?
61.
Perfect. What is the absolute value of negative 394?
394.
Perfect. What is the absolute value of negative 37?
37.
Perfect. So y'all got this. What is the absolute value of negative 29?
29.
Absolute value of positive 1?
1.
All right. So, pieces of cake, right? Okay. So let's talk about this other one that Miss Armstrong said is a challenge question. All right. So do you notice that I have, when I had this answer, where was the negative? On the inside or the outside?
The inside.
And where's my negative here?
On the outside.
Do you think that's going to make a difference?
Yes.
Absolutely it is. Because here, my absolute value says, hey, find the absolute value of everything inside there, right? Here, my absolute value symbols say that I'm going to do the absolute value of 62, which is what? 62. But I can't leave out this negative that's on the outside, okay? So what this negative on the outside says, hey, find the opposite of the absolute value of 62. So I have to do 2 steps. First, find the absolute value of 62, which is?
62.
And the opposite of 62 is? So then, what is it? Negative 62, right? And I'm going to put this so that I remember. Opposite of. That's what that means. Now I'm going to throw in a few extra examples. So, do you think it's going to make a difference if I gave you this question right here? The absolute value of 3/4. What would the absolute value of 3/4 be? Yes, sir? 3/4. Just because it's a fraction doesn't mean, oh my goodness, I don't know what to do. All I've done is whole numbers. How many steps would I need to take from 0 to get to whatever number's on the inside? Whether it's a fraction or a decimal or whatever. Yes, sir?
Yesterday, there was fractions on that paper, and I converted them into numbers.
That's perfectly fine. If they can convert into whole numbers, that's perfectly fine. So finding the absolute value of a fraction is the same thing as when we were finding the absolute value of a integer. All right. Let's look at a couple of questions. Can 2 numbers have the same absolute value? let me think about that. Can two numbers have the same absolute value? What do you think? Yes, sir.
Yes.
Tell me why. You are correct.
Because even if there's like a number like 67,
Uh-huh.
there's a negative 67. A number always has an opposite.
Very good. And because 67 and negative 67 are still the same distance from 0, correct? All right. Yes, two numbers can have the same absolute value because they can have the same distance. There's that word again. From 0. And I'm going to put like, i.e. means example. Like -5 and 5 had the same absolute value, correct? They're both 5 steps away from 0. All right. If Jenny has less than $29 in her bank, can she spend $34 on a new dress? Yes or no?
No.
No. Unfortunately, she needs how much more money?
I was gonna say something.
Go ahead. Tell me.
So, some stores have a policy where you could buy something even if you don't have enough right now, and you could come back like tomorrow or sometime and give the money back.
Right, but that would be taking out a loan or doing, right. And she's meaning like if maybe the store doesn't do that, the credit policy, and you have to go in there and all you have is $29, the store is not going to say, okay, here's a $34 dress and you don't owe me anything else, right? She does not have enough money as it is, right? So, no way, Jose. Jenny cannot, because $29 is not more than $34. All right, so what I'm gonna have you do is you're gonna flip this over and you're gonna work these 4 questions out, and then we're gonna go over them, and then we are going to glue this into our journal. Everybody understand? All right.